We got a lot to get into today. The big one I want to talk about right now, the first one is the updates to the Barbarian, the Monk, and then something we haven't done in a hot minute. We haven't talked about the issues, player issues that we've come across, and we decided to throw some answers in and how you should handle this. Uh, Big changes that have come to the Barbarian. One of them, some of them I really do like. I do not like the new I really do not like the new subclass for it because it's almost like a druid. It's like a druid. It's a druid barbarian. We're really losing our class identity in some of these features with this. But I think the overall thing that the two new things that I really like is rage. Now you get one expended rage when you finish a short rest. Some of the issues I've had with the classes in the past is that when you there's not enough to keep like the game rolling. You have to stop everything for a long rest, which is 8 hours, and that's just miserable to try and play around. Especially if you're a DM, you're trying to do maybe either one shots or even in a long campaign, it can kind of be aggravating to actually have to take a short rest all the time. I have it right here if you guys are taking a look at it. Rage now regains one expended rage when you finish a short rest. I'd like to see this for more classes. It would be really nice to have that feature where you don't get everything back, but you get something to kind of keep the game rolling.
Yeah,
I mean I have a counterpoint. I guess two counterpoints. The first one is you just mentioned class identity, and that it feels very similar to the warlock mechanic of regaining a spell slot on a short rest.
I mean,
Um,
that's
but
but
the
that's not
warlock don't get to take advantage of that if party don't want to take a short rest.
so the
that's
identity.
true.
So the identity thing. I I'm more talking about the features of the class that takes it away from that identity thing. Like if you have a barbarian that's casting spells, it doesn't really feel like a barbarian. It feels honestly more like an eldritch knight. Even eldritch knights, I have an issue with. So that's where I'm coming at. But I'll get to that point later on.
But this mechanic in the second half of the playtest, they have been doing a lot of that where it's like in the first half of the playtest they were trying to get away from short rests, and now they've kind of tilted back towards it. You know, like the last couple books have had less and less mechanics on short rests. And
My
at
I
the
guess
beginning
my
of the
Go for it, man.
yeah,
sorry. I guess my second counterpoint is it doesn't it takes away from the resource management of the class. If you can just short rest after a fight, why
You
why would I conserve a rage in this fight if
you
I know
you should
I'm just
still
gonna
be you should still always be like kind of like playing like that, but you shouldn't be like handicapped into taking a long rest every time. Like you really need to have something that kind of keeps the game flowing. If you have to stop for a long rest, and then that's a whole process. It's almost like going into town. You have to figure out who's doing the watches and how is this going to happen, and now you're spending more time worrying about a rest or how you're going to get that rest versus actually how do I accomplish what I'm out here to do. If your job is to go out into the wilderness and just take a rest, then absolutely that works. But in most cases, you're trying to get somewhere, and if
well,
you get raided by a bunch of our bandits and you didn't you and granted I'm with you on that, you didn't use proper resource management, that's it still slows it down. But if you get something like a core feature, not all of it, they're not getting everything back, they're only getting one rage on the short rest. If you're getting like something small like that, like a core feature to your class back on a short rest, I'm telling you it'll probably be better for the game overall, as it kind of increases it decreases your downtime and kind of keeps the action and the role playing a little bit more going. Maybe you even role, unless you're a big role player at camp and you're sitting around and you're trying to figure out how you can murder a bard.
well, and there's ways the DM can get past this to still make the resource management important, like sending waves of enemies instead of sending them all at once. You know,
true.
or where you fight, you don't have time between the fights to take that short rest. But they use the resources in the first wave; they don't have them for the second wave.
Yeah.
Uh, that'll teach them to conserve their energy for the next time, so that
How
they're not
about
always going to get a short rest.
something just popped in my head, and I don't know if it's a good idea or a bad idea. But
That's
how
probably
about
a bad
this?
idea, buddy.
Going the other direction, where rages are an unlimited resource, but it takes a full action to rage, and there's still the limits that even up to level 20 that if you only rage for a certain amount of time. What your resources are things like burst damage, where you use a blood die to deal extra damage, one to ignore resistances, limited resources that give the barbarian more of a tactical feel instead of just being a tank.
Have you read the new Brutal Strike?
Yeah, we're gonna get to the brutal strike. The brutal strike, I really
It's basically
like.
what you're describing.
Exactly.
Right.
But
But making it more of a baseline than having the subclasses do.
no. This isn't a subclass. This is a main class feature.
Well,
Yeah,
I know that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like
So-
having that be the main class thing, and then subclasses have their own flavor.
Yeah.
A full action to rage would suck.
Yes.
I mean,
Because you wouldn't
It
get to do
would,
anything.
but you could do it as many times as you want.
Yeah, but you
And the new rage in this, it's pretty easy to keep your rage going now. It is pretty much endless rage.
I don't have issues with the rage. I wouldn't mind seeing it coming out of like, and I know I say this about the sorcerer, but I'd like to see like your health be a resource on things. Like if you're a blood sorcerer or a blood mage, like wouldn't that be really cool to like use your health as the point?
Really
because,
like the Dark Souls.
yeah, I do. Like I like the
system,
idea of
because
like having to use your sorcerers, especially should be like that. But I wouldn't mind seeing barbarians have something like that.
We pretty much
Especially
agree. Sorcerer
barbarians
should be
have-
con.
Yeah.
Yeah, and barbarians have so much life to begin with. You know, they're the only class that's based on the D12. Plus, they're going to be a high con class, even though they're not based on con.
You make a stone dwarf barbarian with the tough feet. You'll have like
Jacobage did it.
don't hate on the dwarfs, bud. You're a good orc. I appreciate what you do, but